Can I just ask you quickly, we were talking about the level of anxiety in your readership even before tariffs took effect. Now they're here. Just curious what kind of a response you're getting from readers.
I'm getting like some deep, dark questions, like what happens to the Canadian financial system if the U.S. uses electronic warfare on us. That's the level of anxiety I'm seeing.
Well, I mean, based on the Prime Minister yesterday saying in his view this is, economic warfare designed to, so weaken the Canadian economy to be able to annex it. No wonder that's out there. We have some, they're not quite at that level of darkness in terms of our viewers' questions, but I do have some really good ones for you, Rob, and I want to jump into some of them and because many will have the same ones. So Dwayne, for example, wondering about homes, wanting to list his home for sale. How will tariffs affect the value of his home and whether the listing price, would that be part of the calculus?
Totally. You know what? I would suggest this viewer check out the report on the Toronto real estate market in February. It is not encouraging for people who want to put houses up for sale. If you have any discretion, don't put it up for sale now. You will not have strong demand.
The question from Alan, and we've had this before in the lead up. Obviously, this is a big question for so many. How is it going to affect RRSPs and TFSAs? This is a gentleman who's close to retirement, he and his wife. What steps should we take to protect our investments? Rob?
The steps to take are the age-old steps of diversifying your portfolio, having some money in Canadian, U.S., global stocks, Canadian stocks, and bonds. Have a good chunk of your portfolio in bonds. They did pretty well yesterday. Stocks were down, but not catastrophically. I think the stock markets are playing it cool on tariffs, and they are not panicking. And it's almost as if they thought there are more chapters to play out here, and we don't know what's happening. So there's no reason whatsoever to be very fearful about your RRSPs just yet. We could see declines, but the stock market was expensive anyway. It had a really good 2 years, and it's going to cool off eventually. It may be tariffs, it may be recession, maybe something else, but people should be able to roll with that. And the way you roll with that is to be very diversified.
So in terms of the markets overall, because Sebastian had a similar question as he watched the numbers go down and listened to economic forecasts from people like at CIBC talking about the concern about a correction, is it a good time to invest or is it a good time, Rob, to take money out?
You know what? It's guesswork to take money out and to put money in. But what I would say is, if you see a day when the stock market gets slammed, and that means 1.5% to 2% down or more, that's not a bad time to put some money in. So if you stay flexible and you think, if the stock market gets hit hard, I'm a buyer. You're buying low. That's the foundation of successful long-term investing. You get such a tailwind when you invest after a low. You don't have to catch the market bottom. You're just buying stocks cheaper than they were yesterday. And if they're much cheaper, that's all the more tempting to buy. So yes, I would be a gradual, careful buyer, buying bit by bit. Don't make a big commitment at any one moment because there's always room for more declines ahead.
Rob, I was speaking earlier with John Northcott. We had a couple of questions about car prices and parts prices, but one was just on purchasing. Well, actually a couple, but on the same theme. Neil Snow, what impact will tariffs have on buying a new car? And Tom Kennedy, planning on a car purchase as well, and wondering about the purchase impact. Should one purchase sooner or later? What's the thinking there?
Well, I have colleagues of mine have done some research that suggests that car prices could rise by many thousands of dollars. But what I'm hearing today is that part of the discussions between the president and the prime minister may involve the car industry, which is exceptionally vulnerable to tariffs and is basically a finely tuned machine with parts flying back and forth over the border. So I wouldn't make any car buying decisions just yet. Wait and see how things play out. But yes, if tariffs play out as expected, as we all thought yesterday, then yes, car prices could rise a bit, and it might not be a bad idea to go into a dealer and just see what's what. If you see a line at the door of the dealer, then you know there aren't going to be any great deals because demand is high.
That's a good point. Yes, you're right. That's one of the big headlines from the Commerce Secretary's interview, looking at potential sectors, carve-outs potentially for the auto industry. So that could be one of the big headlines today. One of the things that I remember from previous conversations, I think this is a good paraphrase, your good advice overall, if this is an economic war, we should put ourselves on a war footing and simplify things. Does that hold true this morning, Rob?
More so. When I said that the original time around, we were looking at tariffs, but they hadn't actually taken effect. Now they're in effect. We don't know exactly what carve-outs are going to be and how this is all going to play out, but it looks like we're in for a long battle. And I do think people need to be much more conservative in how they manage money. And you can see that happening in the housing market. I mean, the housing market is chilling down, and that means people are not going and buying when maybe they wanted to. It suggests people are being very reluctant to take on big financial commitments, and that is just the right mindset. Minimize risks.
Rob, thank you very much. I hope you'll come back again. I always appreciate our time, and I know our viewers
No problem.
appreciate their
I'm glad to do it.
answers.
Take care.
Thank you soon. See you soon. Rob Carrick from the Globe and Mail, and this is CBC Morning Live.